I'm Kelly Kessner with Investors Watchdog University. I'm here with Pat Huddleston. He's the founder of Investors Watchdog. And today we're going to talk about investment scams as opposed to just misconduct or negligence in which a broker, may do something wrong. We're talking about a scam to which they can really criminally be in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. And because I do this for a living and you do too, Kelly, we know that when most people hear the word scams or they hear that this is going to be about scams, what do? They think, oh, well, thank goodness I don't have to listen to this one, right? Because I'm too smart to fall for one. That's just the way human brains tend to operate. You don't think that you could be taken advantage of. But please, please, please keep watching. Hang with us here. And we promise that we're going to tell you something about yourself that you didn't know that can help make you much better protected.
And I'm sure everyone's heard of some of these, and no one ever thought they were falling for a Ponzi scheme, for example, when they did.
Oh, that's right. And we'll go into Ponzi schemes in a lot more detail. But the thing to know about them for today is that a Ponzi scheme can look like anything. Something that's a Ponzi at its core can be wrapped in an infinite number of wrappings. And so every kind of legitimate investment that you can think of might be a Ponzi scheme at its core, or could conceivably be a Ponzi scheme at its core. That's how challenging it is to recognize these things.
And other than Ponzi schemes, there are other investment scams out there. What are some of those?
We talk a lot about pump and dump scams.
What are those?
Yeah, some people have heard that term, some haven't. Pump and dumps are really, really insidious in that this happens a lot in penny stocks, the stocks of small companies. What happens is that scam artists gain control of millions of shares of essentially a worthless shell company. And then they set about making that worthless shell look like it's worth a lot of money. They issue phony press releases. They trade the stock back and forth between themselves at ever increasing prices. And so if you take a look at the market data, it looks like, hey, a lot of people are interested in this and the price is going up. And you take that along with the press releases and pretty soon people are buying based on those press releases and on the market data. And then of course the press releases stop, the phony trading stops, and the price collapses.
Sounds like it's a definite wave that a lot of people get caught up in something that just seems so simple and so safe.
Oh, that's right. And the scary thing, though, there's a scarier aspect to that, Kelly, and that is that organized crime is heavily involved in investment fraud. Pump and dump schemes especially. They have discovered that you can make a lot more money and have to break a lot fewer kneecaps with a pump and dump scam than you can with loan sharking.
Organized crime.
Organized crime.
Like the Russian mob type of...
Yes, the Russian mob in particular. In fact, we talk about a case that involved the Russian mob in The Vigilant Investor. Ran maybe one of the biggest pump and dump scams in history right here on American shores without ever leaving his place in Russia.
So that's not just a rumor. The Russian mob is actually operating in the United States through things like these pump and dump scams?
They are, with plenty of company from homegrown organized crime.
Well, not all crooks are connected to organized crime, correct?
No, that's right, that's right. But before we leave that, please remember, organized criminals have the money to spread around to buy the cooperation of lots of different cohorts. They bribe brokers, they bribe attorneys, they bribe accountants, and so you need to know that their scams are going to look completely legitimate.
And do these people, the attorneys and accountants, understand they're part of the organized crime as it's happening?
Yeah, sometimes they do. You like to think that they don't always, at least anyway, but maybe they're not too careful. Maybe the money blinds them, which it has a tendency to do with everybody, right?
So it's just a scary way for something that's not legit to look legit, like many other scams that are out there.
Exactly. But following up on the question that you asked, yeah, it's not just organized criminals. Believe it or not, and we'll talk about this in more detail, your trusted advisor, the person who you have trusted with your financial future for 10, 20, 30 years, is not immune to becoming a Ponzi scamster, right? You might think that he or she is, but what we're going to reveal to you in this series will show you that almost half of the Ponzi schemes that you hear about were started by people who are just as credible and just as honest as your advisor is right now.
But we're going to get into that in further detail in the future. Right now, that's all we have time for today. We'll see you next week at another episode of Investors Watchdog University. Thank you.